Welcome to the Quizipolis channel. Enjoy the quiz today. Can you guess the states in the United States? Here is 50 questions. Let's see how well you are. Before the quiz start, don't forget like and subscribe. Which state is the biggest with movie stars and sunny beaches? Which state is the coldest with polar bears and snowy sled dogs? Which state is the hottest with giant desert cactuses? Which state is the smallest with tiny lighthouses by the ocean? Which state is the highest with super tall Rocky Mountains? Which state is the most musical with country songs and guitars? Which state is the sunniest with palm trees and alligators? Which state is the greenest with rainforests and apple orchards? Which state is the busiest with a giant beach and big cities? Which state is the quietest with buffalo and wide open plains? Which state is the most colorful with rainbows over waterfalls? Which state is the windiest with big potato farms? Which state is the biggest with cowboy hats and oil wells? Which state is the snowiest with frozen lakes and deer? Which state is the driest with sparkly Las Vegas lights? Which state is the most magical with a huge glowing canyon? Which state is the oldest with witch trials and spooky history? Which state is the most watery with swamps and bayous? Which state is the tallest with a giant arch in the sky? Which state is the most adventurous with grizzly bears and geysers? Which state is the sparkliest with a statue holding a torch? Which state is the greenest with rolling hills and horse races? Which state is the most forested with moose and maple syrup? Which state is the flattest with endless cornfields? Which state is the most beachy with surfers and dolphins? Which state is the dustiest with old gold mines and ghost towns? Which state is the most musical with jazz bands and parades? Which state is the snowiest with big ski hills and forests? Which state is the hottest with spicy chili festivals? Which state is the windiest with tornadoes and wheat fields? Which state is the smallest with a big crab feast by the bay? Which state is the most colorful with cherry blossoms and monuments? Which state is the quietest with wide prairies and antelope? Which state is the most magical with a huge carved mountain? Which state is the greenest with cheese farms and lakes? Which state is the most adventurous with caves and bluegrass music? Which state is the driest with red rock arches and dinosaurs? Which state is the busiest with car races and corn mazes? Which state is the most watery with a huge lake named after it? Which state is the snowiest with pine trees and covered bridges? Which state is the most colorful with fall leaves and pumpkins? Which state is the most cotton filled with big plantations? Which state is the busiest with steel bridges and cheesesteaks? Which state is the most forested with black bears and waterfalls? Which state is the flattest with big windmills and sunflowers? Which state is the most musical with blues bands and barbecue? Which state is the dustiest with old riverboats and farms? Which state is the smallest with a big diamond mine? Which state is the busiest with skyscrapers and deep dish pizza? Which state is the greenest with rolling fields and tractor races? Comment how many marks you got. Click into the page, challenge yourself about geography knowledge. See you.